joints are right.
Right.
It's just the muscle.
How was it compared to others?
And that one is your,
We feel a little bit different in the sixties than we do in the fifties.
see, that's
I learned that.
Tell me. See this jaw swollen right here? When we first got married, we lived in Kansas City and was stationed out there. And they wanted to take the wisdom teeth out. We took all of them.
You good, Trevor?
Because they had to come up. I just had to know this. And there's a whole
Isn't
between 20 and almost 70.
that the truth?
So that's been my bailiwick for the last week.
Oh, goodness. Well, it gives you a reason to eat yellow, ice cream, mashed potatoes.
Cook out, cook out, cook out.
Oh, yeah. Milkshake.
Are you ready, man? Trevor's. Yeah. You ready? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Thursday, December 9th meeting of the Ashboro City Council. Welcome you all here. And tonight is kind of a different kind of meeting for us. It's a bittersweet night because we will say goodbye to two of our longtime council people, and we will replace them with two brand-new council people that were recently elected. So the order of business tonight will be a little unusual. We will complete old business left over from the last meeting, and therefore, and then once we complete the old business, we'll reconstitute the council. We'll seek the new, have a swearing in for the newly elected, and make committee assignments, and then we will start with any new business. So I would, at this point, like to say that we have an empty seat tonight. Ms. Snuggs, one of our retiring council members, called me just an hour or so back, an hour and a half, and has a family emergency and cannot be here tonight. And we're really concerned about that. She's got a family member that's deathly ill. And so I would ask that you remember her tonight in your prayers. And at this point, I'd like to ask you to stand and join me in a moment of silent meditation. And we will follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. There are a few more seats. Come on in. Right up here, there's some seats on the front. Can't fill up the front. Okay. I understand.
That's right.
All right. Good to see Councilman Bell with us tonight. He's recovering from some pretty serious surgery, and good to see you get around well.
Well, it's good to be here.
And, yep, glad it went well for you.
Yeah, we're well on the mend. Thank you.
Good. This is the appointed time for public comment. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that would like to address the Asheboro City Council on any items of city business? We'll let ladies go first. Mr. Green?
That sounds fine to me.
Judy, come on up, and when you speak, there's a sign-up sheet.
Okay.
If you will print your name, and that is strictly so that when we transcribe the tape, we can spell your name right.
My name is Judy Saunders, and this pen's not writing. I have come to thank Chuck Gardner. This okay?
Get it right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I have dealt with him time and time again, and he is wonderful. So you need to keep him forever.
That's the difficulty in city employment, municipal
he is-
employment, that he goes 30 years and they're gone.
If you're on our side of that, Mayor, that's forever.
But he does an excellent job. And this city, the All-American City, folks, if we don't do something about these yards with these cars and all this trash out there, we're gonna become the All-American dump. And that's why Chuck gets on the phone and I know he's thinking to himself, oh, God, it's her again. But please, is there not something we can do about all these cars and
Yes, there is, and that's what
Trash.
Chuck does full-time every day.
And he is good at it. And I just want you to know that I appreciate it.
Ms. Saunders, let me tell you, for those of you who don't know, Chuck is our code enforcement officer. He does a great job. He's the one that makes it happen when we demolish an old house, abandoned home, burned out, full of whatever, boarded up, burned, and he makes that happen. He takes complaints about just about anything that anybody wants to complain about, and he does that full-time, and he is probably the best we've ever had. He's as good as anybody we've ever had, and we hear lots of compliments on Chuck, and I'm glad. While we're talking about that, let me just say that we can't fix it if we don't know about it. So we encourage people to call. We encourage people, we have online way to report potholes and other concerns, sidewalks, potholes, things that need attention. We do have our city employees searching out some of that stuff, but we can't possibly see them all. So if you have a concern, if you have a home in your neighborhood that is a nuisance, a problem that needs some attention, whether it be overgrown yard or junk cars or unsightly appearance, or that it's abandoned and full of drug users or whatever, let us know. We can't fix it if we don't know about it. So I would encourage people to do like Ms. Saunders does, call us. And you can do that online also. Thank you very much. Mr. Green?
Yes, sir. Well, in that vein, I was getting ready to go on a camping trip, and I was all ready to take this RV out.
Give us your name, please.
Tim Green. And I started to, had everything thought packed up, and I was putting water in the thing. Well, my faucet broke. It completely broke, came right out of the wall. Called the city, they were out there on the spot, 2 trucks. It only took one, but 2 were out there. And they fixed that for me, Johnny, on the spot. So I appreciate that. You know, a lot of good folks in the city of Asheboro. And the reason I wanted to speak is I think we got quite a homeless problem here. And I know that everybody's aware of that. Even Greensboro has a very bad homeless problem. A friend of mine went to college with, came back from New York State, and the first thing she posted online was, man, what happened to Greensboro? Why all these homeless folks? And we need to address mental health too, because you can tell that some of these folks do need some care. They seriously do. When they're standing there talking to the sky or the wall or whatever, you know, there's a problem. But you talk about perception and things. I was at Chick-fil-A one night, and I'd been working in my yard, and I had on jeans similar to this that had holes in it. My hair was a mess. And this girl sees me sitting there with a jar of peanuts that somebody gave me for my mail route. And she went over and told her boss, says, oh, man, it's so bad. There's a homeless guy sitting over there, and all he's got to eat is peanuts. And he came over to help me out. He started laughing. He went back and told her, said, he's not homeless. I just did his front yard and his backyard, landscaping. But I see a lot of these folks, see them constantly. And also women. There are a lot of homeless women out here. You don't think about that. And I will say, most of you probably know that First Methodist Church has been given charge of Calvary Methodist Church on Francis Street. My understanding, they're going to turn that into a homeless, families, women shelter. I think that's a marvelous thing. And we had a little incident Sunday morning at First Baptist across the street over here. A homeless guy had been coming off and on, and we have no problem. Well, we're glad we can help somebody like that. But as soon as the 8:30 service was over, we had a Christmas tree, had all his gifts for foreign missions hanging on the tree. And as soon as the service over, he goes right up there, grabs every one of them off the tree, grabs up the children's little piggy banks that they made for foreign missions and headed out the door. But they caught him. So nobody had a real beef about that, but I'm just, it's there and that problem exists. And thank you for letting me have the time to talk to you about it. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Let me address a couple of things that you brought up, just for informational purposes. The project that First Methodist Church is working on is called Lydia's Place.
Lydia's Place.
And it will be a shelter for women and children primarily. It's a family shelter, but most of the time that consists of a woman, one or two children, and they're
Oh, I
well
left-
on the way getting.
I left one thing out. There was, if you can talk to some of your folks when you go to different clubs, whatever, they have motels. If you know some of these owners, I'm not gonna mention any names, but there was a homeless person here recently that stayed 15 days in a motel here. I kinda got involved in the situation because the person that asked me to get involved from my church, and her husband's one of the ministers over there. And she has Guillain-Barré syndrome, excuse me. And fortunately, she decided to go live with one of her family members. And before that, she had stayed in this local motel, and I called one of their corporate offices, and I got the bill down to like $35 a night, because you'd stay there so much, but it didn't happen. And the last day, she was going to live with one of our church members for a while till she got on disability, and I've gone to Congressman Ted Budd's office to try to get that pushed through. It's gonna take a little longer. She's gotta go back for another visit and get her on disability so she might get in Section 8 housing or something like that nature. But this motel owner, the last day, he took her out of the handicap room where you couldn't get a wheelchair through, put her in one you couldn't. She was in tears, and this owner says, "It's not my problem. You're gonna have to go somewhere else." Well, I mean, okay. But have a little more compassion. So if you know some of these folks in the motel business, just pass that along. Thank you.
Sir. Also, a little more good news. The Representative Hurley, who represents us in Raleigh, is here tonight. Pat, thank you so much for what you did for us this past session in Raleigh. The legislature waived, getting this wrong, but waived the certificate for to establish a psych, something we did in North County, psychological. New owner of Randolph has the very first contact I had with him that he wanted to establish, take a part of the hospital that was out of service, an older wing, rehab it, and develop maybe a 30 or 40 bed psych unit. And those of you that are familiar with our community know we desperately need that. And the legislature helped us along the way with that this year by waiving the certificate of need process, which is very cumbersome. And, yes, ma'am.
We also got $4 million for it too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That helps with the fixing up part.
Yep, yeah. So, thank you so much. Every time I've seen Pat the last 3 weeks or so, I would just about got down on my knees and kissed her feet. She has really toted the water, so they say, for Randolph County this year. The zoo got $80 million, $82 million. The city got $5.5 million. And I said to her when she got here tonight, I said, it's easy to go to Raleigh and do your work when you've got a little extra money. And they spread it out this year. Randolph County did well.
And
City of Asheboro did well.
And she had a big hand in the mega site.
Oh, yeah, and the mega site, which everybody saw, the legislature made that happen. So, thank you, Pat, appreciate that. Okay, council, is there anyone else in the room that wants to address council tonight on any matters of city business or concern? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to item 4. Council, you have in front of you the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that you would like to remove for individual discussion or consideration? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Carter. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 5, Ms. Reeves, you have a request to fund Asheboro Randolph Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Initiative. I will open a public hearing. Come on up, ma'am.
Mayor, City Council. The Chamber of Commerce has approached us about funding a new economic development initiative, and since these are, by statute, we have to bring these forward to you in a public hearing. That is why we are here today. First of all, right now, we already contribute $25,000 to the Randolph County Chamber of Commerce. This was approved in our budget June 24th, 2021. And out of this $25,000, you guys have seen this before, we get small business assistance, resource and advocacy, retail business development, community events and promotion, local youth and adult leadership training, and downtown center city development support. Chamber of Commerce has brought to us some interesting, somewhat troubling statistical information relating to where the state of our economy is right now. During 2020, the Chamber lost 111 members. Of these, 30 plus of these closed their doors for good, 20 plus of these permanently relocated outside the Piedmont Triad area, and 30 that canceled shared that they canceled because they needed to cut every expense possible in order to remain viable. While the Chamber does not have all Asheboro businesses as a member, the Chamber feels that these numbers are a snapshot of what our local businesses are experiencing right now. During 2020, Randolph County also had a 62.5 increase over 2019 for new business startups. Why? We are assuming this relates somewhat to COVID and the effect that COVID has had on families. Furloughed employees had uncertainty as to whether they would be able to go back to work. Laid off employees had minimal options regarding employment during the initial shutdowns and the slow return to business. And children who were forced to do remote learning could not be left at home alone, which caused parents having to reevaluate their employment situation. These factors, we believe, have influenced individuals who are creative and entrepreneurial minded to look for other ways to make a living. In that realm, the U.S. Bureau of Labor says that 70% of new businesses will ultimately fail. That is a statistical fact.
I think that just cheery.
As I say, good and bad. Asheboro Randolph Chamber of Commerce and Venture Asheboro have worked together in the past to support and assist new businesses. Considering that statistical information, the economic environment that we're in now, they have worked together to plan a new program, a little bit more extensive program on the services that they currently offer that are included in the $25,000 that we already contribute to. This program is aimed at Asheboro located businesses with initiatives aimed at achieving sustainability, trying to help not change that statistic. Now, what I'm about to share are some initiatives that the Chamber and Venture Asheboro have already come up together with, but these are not a finite list. The list of the services that they hope to provide will continue to evolve as they learn to understand what the needs are of these new businesses in the community and try to come up with ideas and ways to support them. They're going to establish a mentor network matching Asheboro business leaders with new business owners, free one-on-one coaching to assist Asheboro entrepreneurs, free 8-week business accelerator program aimed at some key entrepreneur types like a Black Business Accelerator, a Women-Owned Business Accelerator, Encore Entrepreneurs, which are individuals over 55 starting new businesses, Hispanic Business Accelerator, and retail. Also, they're proposing to offer master classes using local business experts to share solutions to these younger, new entrepreneurial businesses. And also one-off workshops on subject matters common to entrepreneurs, such as establishing a good working relationship with bankers, marketing with very minimal resources, finance experience, business finance ideas, things like that. For this, the Chamber is asking for a one-time contribution of $50,000. And this is to support this new extended program to try to help these local businesses. And they're going to share and just communicate that, you know, the City of Asheboro and Chamber of Commerce are partnering together in order to make this program happen. Any questions?
So Mayor, we're trying to take advantage of the, Mr. Moffett was right, 70%'s a large failure rate, but every day, folks here in City Hall come in with the American dream, asking about land use and zoning matters and where's the water and sewer and how they get power and all that. So what we see here at City Hall and when they go into the chamber is they may not have a lot of capital, they have a lot of enthusiasm. They need mentorship and training, I meant.
You know,
And you can't go to an accountant's office or a CPA's office and ask, will you help me keep my books? They do it for a fee, you know. You get that kind of training we need. And the senior, what was the seniors used to be? That doesn't exist. Score, yeah. We don't have score chapter
Service
anymore.
Corps retired executives.
Yeah.
speaking of Talmadge Baker,
Yeah. Yeah, so we think this is the opportunity, Mayor, and you know, you and I have talked about, one of these days we need a business incubator, and I think this puts us on that path.
This is the first step toward establishing a full-time business incubator.
Yeah, and the staff does recommend.
Is there anyone in the room, this is a public hearing, is there anyone in the room that'd like to address the council on this proposal? Okay, Ms. Reeves, you have a resolution.
Actually, there are two ordinances in your packet. I'm gonna ask that you adopt them individually. The first ordinance is an ordinance to amend the general fund appropriating the funds as a transfer to the Economic Development Fund. And I recommend that adoption by reference.
May I have a motion to adopt the amendment to the general fund, ordinance to amend the general fund by reference?
Mayor, I move we adopt the ordinance to amend the general fund by reference.
May I have a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, where was that?
Either
Mr.
way.
Swears? Yes, sir. All right, Mr. Bell, Mr. Swears. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next ordinance is an ordinance to amend the Economic Development Fund. This is an ordinance to recognize the receipt of the proceeds you just authorized to come from the general fund and set up the expenditure in the Economic Development Fund for the Chamber of Commerce for this program.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve this ordinance by reference?
Mayor, I move we approve and adopt the ordinance to amend the Economic and Tourism Development Fund by reference.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. May I have a second?
second.
Second, Mr. Burks. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Reeves.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I'd add the importance of this program in that, as was alluded to about lack of capitalization and that sort of thing, the form and format to present those items to obtain capitalization is as much or more important as the information itself. This assistance, I think, will be well used and highly valued for these recipients.
Executive Director of the Chamber is here, Linda Brown, and Linda, I want to thank you for being willing to put this together and make this work, so we look forward to working with you on it. Thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate the support, and we're looking forward to it.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I have a cold, sorry, I didn't have my mask on.
And a mask on.
We appreciate your support and the city's partnership. This is so important to local small businesses especially, and we're excited to kick off the new year with this.
Thank you, Linda. Okay, Mr. Leonard, city engineer, and teaming up with, the tag teaming with Ms. Reeves, we have some, housekeeping to do on the Zoo City Sportsplex.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. You have in your package change order number 3 between the City of Asheboro and Terry's Plumbing and Utilities for the Zoo City Sportsplex. This work includes the construction of 1 concession stand and 2 restrooms at the Sportsplex facility. That would be for the Phase 1 portion of the Sportsplex. It is an increase of $1,132,055, along with an extension of 270 days for completion date of August the 20th. Upon completion of those buildings, the only things remaining in Phase 1 will be the installation of the turf for the fields and the paving of the roads and parking areas. Staff recommends approval of the change order.
Just, the prices are up. We're doing it in phases.
Any question? Okay.
So Mayor, we'll continue working on the Zoo City Sportsplex. As Mr. Leonard says, this completes all of Phase 1 except for the paving and the turf. Turf will not be performed by Terry's Plumbing, and the rest of the project will be.
All right. Any questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve this change order number 3 in the amount of $1,132,055.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the change order.
Have a motion by Mr. Moffett. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Swears. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, and Ms. Reeves, you have the
You're
general
gonna
fund amendment?
Be a little bit of a repeat before, but with a little bit different information. In your packets is an ordinance to amend the general fund. This is an ordinance that will be appropriating $1,132,055 from the general fund balance as a transfer to the Zoo City Sportsplex Fund in order to provide funding for these expenses that Mr. Leonard has detailed.
Okay,
I recommend adoption by reference.
thank you, ma'am. Any discussion? Any questions? I'm sorry. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the ordinance to amend the general fund?
Mayor, I move we adopt the ordinance to amend the general fund by reference.
Have a motion by Mr. Bell. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Swears. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. And, Ms. Reeves, you have one more there.
I do. With the passing of the ordinance to amend the general fund, I'd like to draw your attention to another ordinance in your packet, which is the ordinance to amend the Zoo City Sportsplex Fund. This ordinance will recognize the contribution from the general fund and appropriate for the expense of $1,132,055 so that Michael and Terry's Plumbing can construct those buildings. I recommend adoption by reference.
Thank you. Questions? May I have a motion to approve the ordinance to amend the Zoo City Sportsplex Fund?
Mayor, I move we approve the ordinance to amend the Zoo City Sportsplex Fund.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Carter. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Mayor, before we leave that, Mr. Leonard, what's the project number again for the Sportsplex?
06047.
So-
You talking about for
For
city project?
For city project.
06047.
So that translate to, that was the 47th project of 2006,
That's correct.
right? So literally 3 weeks from now, if the engineering department begins a project, it'll be 01 of 22, 2201, right? So, for the folks in the audience, we've been slugging away at this project a while. This project's been going through the Great Recession and now through the Great Pandemic, but we're not stopping this time until we get to finished. Right, Michael?
That's correct.
Right, Mayor?
Absolutely.
We can see the finish line now, literally.
See the finish.
Phase one,
And if you ride by, remember, it's a project horizontally, not vertically.
If you ride down in there, you'll be shocked.
Yeah.
if you go down that way and you stay on Zoo Parkway, you're just gonna see the championship field, which is fairly flat. There's a little knoll there. If you turn in the driveway, the gravel driveway, and drive about 100 yards, you will see about a mile. As the land steps down, this is gonna be as pretty a sports complex as there is in North Carolina. Most people just pick a flat piece of property and paint some lines on the level ground and call it a soccer complex. This, as you know, we don't have a lot of level flat ground in Randolph County, so, but it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be a nice economic engine for us also. All right, Mr. Leonard, you have, Department of Transportation Airfield Lighting Rehab Project.
Yes, sir. A budget amendment was approved on this grant funding project in April, is that correct? In April of 2021. The project was bid and came in over budget. The NCDOT Division of Aviation required us to value engineer the project to try to reduce cost and negotiate with the contractor in order to lower that below the budget, that price below the budget. The contractor has been these value engineering adjustments have been reflected, and the NCDOT Division of Aviation is now ready to enter into an agreement for the grant. You have in your packets a grant agreement between the City of Asheboro and the NCDOT Division of Aviation for the amount of $1,199,845, for which the city will be responsible for 10% of. A total of $119,985. The rest will be the grant for the project cost. Staff recommends approval of the grant agreement by reference.
Thanks, sir. Any questions of Mr. Leonard regarding this DOT grant for airport? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion we approve the application for grant.
Have a motion by Mr. Moffett to approve the grant agreement with NCDOT. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bell. Discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right, that completes our old business. Now we will reorganize the council with the newly elected members, make committee assignments, and then we'll get into new business. So, who's the ringmaster here?
City clerk over there.
All right. First is oath of office for the mayor.
Here we need a mayor.
And then you're the ringmaster again after that. And Mayor, the first lady's here somewhere, I just saw.
She was on the front row. She actually took it. I think she had a choice.
There's a Bible my dad had as a child. Gave me something to read. All right, go ahead.
I state your name.
I, David H. Smith,
Do solemnly swear that I will support,
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend
there you go, defend and maintain
defend and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
and perform the duties of my office as mayor
and perform the duties of my office as mayor,
of City of Asheboro,
City of Ashboro,
on which I am about to enter,
on which I am about to enter,
according to my best skill and ability,
according to my best skill and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God. Got me tickled there, sorry.
I'm up? I'll have to.
Okay.
My physical therapist would shoot me if I didn't make this up.
Follow along. All right. I state your name.
I, Clark R. Bell,
Do solemnly swear that I will support,
do solemnly swear that I will support,
defend, and maintain
defend, and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
and perform the duties of my office
and perform the duties of my office
as council member for the City of Asheboro,
as council member for the City of Ashboro,
on which I am about to enter,
on which I'm about to enter,
according to the best of my skill and ability,
according to the best skill and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Please sign. I state your name.
I, Kelly Elgie,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, defend, and maintain
that I will support, maintain, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
and perform
and perform
the duties of my office as council member
the duties of my office as council member
for the City of Asheboro,
for the City of Ashboro,
on which I am about to enter,
upon which I am about to enter,
according to my best skill and ability,
according to my best skill and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Okay, Mr. McCaskill?
This is my sister Kitty McCollum, and we have my mom's Bible. She got it in 1942.
If you get lost, you can reference right there.
Okay, I'm gonna get lost.
Okay. All right, I state your name.
William M. McCaskill,
Do solemnly swear that I will support,
do solemnly swear that I will support,
defend, and maintain
defend, and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
and perform the duties
and perform the duties
of my office as council member
as my office as council member
for the City of Asheboro,
for the City of Ashboro,
in which I am about to enter,
for which I'm about to enter,
according to my best skill and ability,
according to my best skill and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I think we have to have a shift here.
Yeah,
Well,
when are we gonna do that?
well, I think since Katie wasn't here, it was easier on that end, so.
Keep me straight, Jenny.
I'll try.
Have our Moffett family by
All models.
We brought full inventory.
Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Gotcha. All right. Get lost, there's one to reference by. I state your name,
I, Walker B. Moffitt,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
defend, and maintain
defend, and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
and perform the duties of my office
and perform the duties of my office
as council member for the city of Asheboro,
as council member for the city of Ashboro,
on which I am about to enter,
on which I am about to enter,
according to my best skill and ability,
according to my best skill and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
And so just sign right there.
Mark, you move down by me, and Charlie, you move on Parkinson. Don't go too far, Miss Carter. Or too fast.
Policeman right outside the door.
Somebody better eyes.
Packet.
Trevor? Got another packet? Need one to go in and sit. Trevor.
Get out my homework.
Get my gum out your way.
I'm looking at you then.
I got you a fresh piece.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hand it over?
At least now that you know how to see the bill.
Sign on down.
That was gentleman's duty back in the day.
Organized down there, Daddy.
Yeah,
I know, we got it together, you know.
Okay, next on the agenda is the election of our mayor pro tem and the administration of oath of office for that job. Is there anyone on the council that has a nomination to make for mayor pro tem?
Mayor, I move that we I place in nomination Walker Moffett for the position of mayor pro tem.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
second.
Second, Mr. Burks. Any other nominees? Hearing none, I will ask for a vote. All in favor of making Councilman Moffitt our mayor pro tem for the next year? Is that year at a time, right? Or
Serves at the pleasure of the city council.
you better be
The
good.
next meeting. The next meeting.
That's right. You better eat healthy.
No, that doesn't happen. All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, congratulations, Mr. Moffitt.
Thank you, pleasure to.
That does now require an anticipation vote based on the Court of Appeals ruling, so, Mr. Moffett, I think can take it right here, can he? He needs his Bible back.
Just a plain Bible oath. That was fine.
Okay. Just raise your right hand. All right. I state your name,
I, Walker B. Moffitt,
do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States,
and laws of the United States,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities
which
are or may be established
for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend
the Constitution and laws of said state,
the Constitution and laws of said state,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
as Mayor Pro Tempore
of the city of Ashboro.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, sir.
Don't go nowhere, I wouldn't really have your job.
Okay, we need to make committee appointments. I don't have a list
You
of.
can do that as long as it's at their place, I believe, is that right?
Okay, I have it.
It's in the folders there.
It's in their folders, and Mayor, if you can commit that, if there's consent among the council, we can acknowledge it in the minutes, we can move forward.
All right, we have a resolution here appointing committees, and the Finance and Public Safety is chaired by the mayor, and Clark Bell, Jane Redding, and Charles Swear serve. Public Works Committee is chaired by the mayor pro tem, Mr. Moffett, with Mr. Burks and Ms. Heath. And Personnel Evaluation Committee is chaired by the mayor, and Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Moffett, and new member, Mr. McCaskill. Tourism and Marketing Committee is chaired by the mayor and with Mr. Burks and Ms. Heath. Identity Theft Prevention and Program Committee is chaired also by the mayor, with Mr. McCaskill and Mr. Swears. And I'll have that resolution in front of you. I will entertain a motion to approve the appointments by resolution, by reference to the resolution.
Mayor, I move we approve the resolution of the appointments by reference.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you. The committees are appointed. They will stand until such time we reorganize the council. Okay. Now, something else I've not been able to put my hands on. All right. We have, because Ms. Snuggs is not here tonight, and it's just such a tragedy that she can't be here with us tonight. And it's disappointing. She has spent 6 years. We have a resolution honoring Ms. Carter. Where's Ms. Carter? Oh, okay. All right. May I read this?
Yes, please.
All right. Whereas Linda H. Carter has served as a member of the city council for 20 years, and during which time she has given generously and unselfishly of her time and efforts in a dignified, faithful, and businesslike manner. And whereas the city council of the city of Asheboro, North Carolina desires to express commendation and appreciation for the untiring and valuable service rendered to the city by Linda H. Carter as a member of the city council. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the city council of the city of Ashboro extends to Linda H. Carter the city council's humble expression of its esteem for her in serving the city faithfully and well, and its best wishes for good health, success, prosperity for many years to come. And be it further resolved that the city clerk is hereby authorized and instructed to spread a copy of this resolution upon the city records and to transmit a copy thereof to Linda H. Carter, adopted this 9th day of December 2021.
We do need to.
Ms. Hurley, Representative Hurley, would you come up and present this to Ms. Carter and have your picture taken with her, please?
Mayor, can we get a motion on second on that?
Oh,
please?
I'm sorry. Yeah, we need to approve this by reference.
Mayor, I move we approve that resolution by reference.
We have a motion by Mr. Bell. May I have a second? Mr. Burks, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It is official. Ms. Carter, after 20 years.
On behalf of the council and all the city employees, we have a special some Randolph County dirt.
Somebody, Lorraine, hold the bag before I let her pull that out, or somebody hold the resolution. And Ms. Carter, for some reason you don't want to take that home, I will.
I think I have a special place.
And Representative Hurley has a presentation for you also. You want to read that into the record for us?
Please, and I also have one for Katie Snuggs also, too, if I may read those, both of them. When you file for public office, and when you are honored by winning that office, and you serve the people of Ashboro, or Randolph County, or state, or whatever position, your life changes forever. You will remember what you did and who you helped, and they will remember you. And some days are not as easy as others. But appreciation for what you do is here from many people. And so when I saw that 2 of our women were leaving the city council, I wanted to do something special. And so this is from the North Carolina House of Representatives. It's a certificate of acknowledgement and appreciation. And it's whereas Linda Carter has served on the Ashboro City Council for 20 years. And whereas Linda Carter serves on the Redevelopment Commission and served on the Community Appearance Commission. And whereas Linda Carter served as chair of Crossroads Retirement Community, president and secretary as president, and secretary of Hospice of Randolph, and president and chairperson of the United Way. Now, therefore, this 9th day of December in the year 2021, I, Representative Pat B. Hurley, extends acknowledgement and appreciation to Linda Carter for her loyal and dedicated service to the citizens of Ashboro and the many other organizations she has served in Randolph County. This day. Do the same for Katie Snuggs.
Read that one into the record too, if you will, please.
Okay. North Carolina House of Representatives Certificate of Acknowledgement and Appreciation. Whereas Katie Snuggs served on the Ashboro City Council for 6 years and was an employee with the city of Ashboro for 22 years. And whereas Katie Snuggs serves on the Ashboro Redevelopment Commission. And whereas Katie Snuggs serves on the Board of Directors of Eastside Homes and is a member of Habitat Humanity, Eastern Star, and numerous others in the community. Now, therefore, this 9th day of December in the year 2021, I, Representative Pat B. Hurley, extends acknowledgement and appreciation to Katie Snuggs for her loyal and dedicated service to the citizens of Ashboro and the many other organizations she has served in Randolph County. Now, thank you for this opportunity to do this. And,
Ms. Carter, would you like to make a farewell speech? I'm sure you have something.
I believe I've been thinking about that for a month.
Thank you
And I
so
will
much.
frame those if you want me to frame them. I'd be glad to frame them. I just,
Thank you, thank you. Well, I just want to say thank you to the Asheboro City Council and thank you to the citizens, most of all, to the city of Asheboro, for keeping me in maybe too long. I really think that there is something to being in an office, holding a position for a certain amount of time. But that's, where I believe. And, I think it makes a huge difference on, bringing in new blood, change around. But, I just wanna thank you, and I thank everybody on the city council. Charlie, for catching me off that bus that time. He gets my water for me every time. Clark, he's always, saying first, and I try to back him up by saying second, that way we can get out of here early. The mayor, he's been around since I graduated from high school. Walker, we're always playing tit for tat, we get the best. I can't even think now. Eddie, I appreciate you always wearing your red coat and coming up saying thank you, and talking to me. And Jane, for being so quiet. I think she's been our quietest council member in my 20 years on city council, but she's always got a smile on her face. So that's always a pleasure. But I want to thank you for being able to work with you, and for John. He's always there. If you've got a question, he'll answer it, or he'll try to find an answer for you. And for Joanne, John's secretary, and my city friend, who I can always call on and ask questions to. I appreciate both of them. And, just thank everybody. And thank you, Ms. Hurley, for being here in your presentation. You surprised me.
We certainly will miss you, Linda.
Well, I miss y'all.
I think a big thank you also goes to husband David, for making sure that you were here for all the meetings. Any of you that are inclined to leave at this point may do so. We'll take just a second to let you exit the room. Thank you all for being here. It's a special night for the city of Asheboro.
You have to tell my mom twice.
She was on the way out before I finished talking.
You can be charging in that.
That's my minister.
Kitty. Your own peril, that's what it is.
Not,
She's grab another water out of there, please. Thank you, sir. Parts. Larry, anybody need some down there while we change over?
Clark, you get
Thank you.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is item 18, Rebecca McGee, the Executive Director of Downtown Ashboro Incorporated.
Mr. Mayor, I apologize for interrupting. Do you mind, just so we can keep the minutes straight, to go ahead and get the resolution for Ms. Snuggs?
Oh, okay. Oh, well, actually, I've just seen she not quit, but.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Do you want to see if we can get her here? Well, let's go ahead and adopt it, then we can
Yeah,
present it next
okay.
month.
We need to approve the resolution honoring Ms. Snuggs for 6 years on city council. I will entertain a motion to approve that resolution by reference.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we approve by reference, and also include as commentary that we invite Ms. Snuggs back to the January meeting, if this the earliest meeting is convenient for her to be here to present this in person.
Okay, have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Burks, Christmas jacket there. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, thank you. All right, now, Ms. McGee, you want to talk to us about, social districts?
Yes, good evening, council. I'm excited to be here this evening. Seems like just yesterday I was starting here. We've made a lot of progress in the last year-ish in downtown Ashboro. We've had some successes such as the Streetery, our Zoo City Summerfest, our Main Street Conference that was held here, among many other things that we've been able to implement and have here in downtown Ashboro. So I'm excited to bring an idea before you again this evening for moving Ashboro forward. And that would be, if you have not heard of a downtown Ashboro social district, that is a district within downtown that allows ABC permitted beverages within the public right-of-way. That is something that was changed in the legislation back in August, and now North Carolina is allowing that. We have been working toward this for the last several months. A lot of the Main Street programs are working toward having these social districts. And I want to tell you a little bit about them this evening. The creation of the districts allow patrons of ABC permitted establishments to drink alcoholic beverages on sidewalk and public areas. There are references to the legislation that allows that change. This is something new for North Carolina. It is not something that is completely new to other states surrounding us, but it is a North Carolina change. Mentioning Kannapolis was one of the first to actually vote in a district. It is a completely local legislation change that allows this district. One of the things that came out of this is it's been pushed for a long time. Why do other states around us have something similar to this? You go to Savannah, Georgia, and it's within their historic district. You can purchase a beverage, walk out into that historic district, and enjoy the sights. However, North Carolina has not allowed that. Some of the COVID kind of helped push that forward. You know, limited indoor seating. People felt safer outdoors. There was a lot of product that was left on the shelves during COVID that kind of spurred this forward and helped legislations change. We would like the city of Ashboro to consider that downtown Ashboro would consider this district. I have a map proposal at the end of it. Just kind of a suggestion. It is nothing more than informational this evening. But the city council must designate the boundaries. That also means that the city police is responsible for enforcing those boundaries. The map must be sent to the ABC Commission. Again, it is responsible to the local police force for enforcing that. That's not some oversight by the ABC Commission. Signage has to be at the designated boundaries. I'll show an example of that in a moment. Plastic cups with the logo of the ABC permitted business and the district logo. So we have to come up for a name with this district and have that logo in place as well. It wouldn't be a City of Ashboro logo. Likely it would not be a downtown Ashboro's logo. It would be its own entity that kind of designates this area. The city must establish a time frame. I've been on several conference calls and informational sessions that possibly suggest the opening time of a business to midnight. 7 days a week. I've had a couple cities that say we tried it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because that's really the time that people go out, and it was harder to police that weird 3 days and tell people, oh, you can't do it on Monday and Tuesday, but you can do it on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so remain consistent, we're thinking 7 days a week, a set time. And you can see on my presentation, I said 10 a.m., and that is actually not going to be consistent because that's only to catch our festivals. Nobody opens at 10 a.m. and sells ABC permitted beverages unless it's outside those festival boundaries. We don't want to have to get an ABC permit if we have a festival downtown that is opening up and someone wants to open up at that time. Any beverage, including liquor, is part of a social district. I know I've had a couple questions about that. Alcohol must be purchased within the social district. You cannot go to the food line down the street and buy a 12-pack of beer and sit in Bicentennial and have that beverage. This is to benefit the businesses that are within this district, the ABC permitted business. Four Saints, The Pig, Lumina, Leo's Whiskey Bar. It is specifically for them. It is 100% voluntary participation. They do not have to participate in this. And you cannot take an ABC permitted beverage from one establishment into other. You can only take it out into the district. So if I bought a beer at Four Saints, I cannot take that beer inside of Lumina, for example. So you can see I actually got an example from the one city that was able to implement it back in October. This is the West Avenue district in Kannapolis. I could not find a cup at the time, so I just gave you an example of what the cup may look like. This is their map sent to me by Eddie, who is here this evening, and their signage that is here. I've known Eddie for a couple years. We went back in Lexington, and I was participant in Jiggy with the Piggy a couple years when we did our cook-off, so we've been conversing back and forth just about what works for them and what doesn't. I did make a trip down to Kannapolis yesterday and talking to the main brewery owner that is there on West Avenue, kind of what's working for them, what's not working for them. They've had a great response to it so far. Their comments were more their skateboarders are an issue more than their social district is an issue at this moment. They went through a massive streetscape redesign very recently, and it's a perfect place for skateboarders. So this really hasn't been an issue. People that are adhering to the laws love to take advantage of this. I do want to point out, I've had a couple questions for merchants. What do we do about people who purchase it and bring it into downtown anyway? That is already happening. That, people who are going to abuse the law are already doing that. Our police are already having to deal with those issues. And I specifically asked the brewery owner if he had seen an increase in some of those, people worry about public drunkenness. They worried about filling up a container with something that doesn't come from that specific downtown. And he said they really haven't had it. There is an education piece. He's like educating the patrons on what they can and can't do. There is some of that learning curve, but it has been an amazing thing for their downtown. DAI has talked about this, and at the moment, we are actually, it's not showing up very well. The purple is what we would like to have the city council consider as our social district. That includes our entire footprint of downtown. I will tell you that we have had some comments from the public and the merchants when I speak about this, that we should possibly carve out just to Fayetteville Street and not go down Worth Street. I feel like some of our people eventually may be left out. Right now it goes down to Cox Street. We've had questions of maybe we should carve out First Baptist Church over there on South Church Street. As it is, our board voted to just propose this map as it is. Again, it's informational only, but just to show you what our downtown may look like. And I'm for you, willing to answer any questions you may have about the social district and ask the city council to consider this. Not as a vote tonight, but to consider the possibility of working toward this district for the next spring.
Questions of Rebecca?
Rebecca, I just have a few. I'm familiar with this.
Yes.
I followed it through the legislature, and I understand that it would be up to us to designate the area and the hours of operation, and that there's certain requirements that are required by the statute.
Yes.
In terms of the type of containers it must be, and some legal requirements as it relates to that. Are we able to, beyond what the legislation requires and allows us to do in terms of hours and location, put additional restrictions on there?
What additional restrictions are you?
Well, like the containers, if one were to require anybody within the social district to mark a date and time of the purchase of the beverage that's in the container, then it would prevent somebody from keeping a container, coming back, pouring their own beer in there and saying, oh, I just got this, today, and it's, well, this says you bought it, yesterday at
It's actually not a
6
really,
o'clock.
that's not a bad idea.
Can we put additional requirements
Yeah.
on it so that we don't have multi-use of what is legally designated as a single-use container?
I feel like that would be.
A sticker.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Jeff question. I feel like we could do that. It's very the ABC permitted establishments that are downtown are really looking forward to this and are willing to do whatever it takes to make this move forward. That would be more of a Jeff question when he's looking into it, but I think that would be a
I
possibility.
just think it may be more palatable to those who may be averse to us considering this.
Yeah.
A nifty seal embossed,
Yeah.
perhaps in the shape of a wolf head.
Are we speaking about a team here? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was just wondering if that was, I know the ABC Commission has their own rules in addition to what's in the statute, but I was just wondering if we could put in additional restrictions other than a time and place, if you were aware of that.
I am not
Then we'll
aware.
defer to Mr.
That would, I feel like something, but it's not a bad idea, because that is one of our comments we've had. What if someone takes this cup, you know, they're disposable, but they will last a couple times, and we can, what keeps them from going and filling it back up and coming back out? Now, I did specifically ask that to, is it Old Armory Brewery? Okay, thank you. Kyle at Old Armory Brewery yesterday, and they said they've really not seen an issue with that, but it's not a bad idea to combat that, but that's really not been an issue.
Well, certainly, to amuse Mr. Sugg, we can do it to a challenge.
Yeah.
What did you say?
And I know there's limitations that you can go out within the district and you can go back into the establishment from which you purchased it.
From which you purchased it, yes.
And so if the merchants that were choosing voluntarily to participate, then it would prevent somebody from buying a glass of wine at Lumina and then going down to the Pig and say, well, I bought this here.
Yeah.
You know, so it would be some way to police that as well. So.
Now, my understanding was that each establishment had their logo on their cups in addition
Yes.
to the district.
Yes.
So as far as mixing.
So if something
mixing
happened,
vendors, but-
if there was public drunkenness, if there was an issue, that would then trace back, just as if you were drinking inside the establishment, it would trace back to that ABC permitted establishment.
Yeah, that was the thought that I had. That's the only way you could control if somebody went from point A to point B. You'd have to have the logo of point A on that cup. When you're in point B with logo A, you
Yes.
shouldn't have that in.
Correct.
So, you gave us some vague terms about things have been great, and they've been wonderful and been really accepted. And do you have any documentation about improved sales or revenues in those areas?
It's so new, and it's also for North Carolina, it's so new. As far as I am aware, Kannapolis is the only one that's been able to implement it so far, if I'm not mistaken. I know that other Main Street programs are shooting for, we actually have a conversation going in our thread right now, January, February, with the idea to be ready for their spring downtown. But I don't have any right now. It's just, it's so new.
Rebecca, can
Yes.
you share how the district would be delineated, signage and things like that? What are the requirements there?
So the requirements are within the boundaries, go back, you have to have signage showing the stopping point of each boundaries. You can see in Kannapolis's version, they have the district signage. You can see the yellow kind of yield signs that show those areas where signage has to be. You do have to have a list of rules. You have to link to a website, which is the QR code at the bottom, showing the map and showing the district rules more in depth. Kannapolis has done a really good job of that. I actually screenshot that yesterday when I was down there. So those are types of signage. Now it's up to us. We've had some conversation. I don't want additional signage on our poles. Not me, but other cities have said our poles are already so full, we don't want signage. You do have to, per the law, have signage posted up there. In addition, some of them are considering stamped sidewalks because those were about 7 feet in the air. It is a lot to look up and see that. And so they're doing the signage in addition to a stamped circle or logo on the sidewalk that has at least stop here. This is where the district ends, because that's something additional. People are worried that they'll go beyond that. What I have been advised of is it really works with what your natural downtown is. So if you go and you say, Block A has an issue with this social district, we're just going to carve it out. That'll be harder to police than including something in the long run. The downtown's natural walkability tends to be the best areas for the district, which is why you see back on this one, which you can't see because of my little banner, but Academy Street is kind of the end of it. Once we hit Academy Street in Ashboro, you get a lot of parking lots, you get a lot of new buildings, you don't really have those continuity of buildings that keeps you in the public right of way. You have a lot of private space. Because I've also had a suggestion of going all the way down to where the new smokehouse is going to be located, and that's a lot of private property, alleyways. This was our suggestion as DAI. For that very reason, because it loses its continuity of buildings. And downtowns tend to make a really good area for a district like this.
Let me ask you this, maybe Jeff, something we need to explore, can we have more than one? Can we have more than one social district?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You can.
Thank you.
Sorry, I wasn't.
No, I'm losing my voice, I'm sorry.
So you could conceivably have a social district
Cool.
around.
Somewhere, yeah.
I will make a comment. I've had the opportunity to sit in several DAI meetings that this has been discussed, and it has been favorably received, and some constructive comments made by some of the merchants about this. So it is, I'm not seeing a lot of pushback, as Rebecca indicated, from the merchants that this would impact.
Yeah, I think we should direct staff to, if you guys all agree, we'll direct staff to investigate and come back with a reasonable proposal that would work for Asheboro. Everybody good with that? Okay.
Can we incorporate Clark's?
Sure. That is a good idea.
At least vet that premise.
Yeah, I mean, at least for us to consider, I mean, it's part of it.
I have a question. I know I'm not part of the council. Can I ask a question?
Sure. I would prefer that you come to the microphone and identify yourself on the recording. Rebecca, if you don't mind stepping to the side.
Let me sign my name.
Yes, please.
Troy Carter is my name. And I just wanted to ask the question. I know you mentioned the merchants and the breweries, but did you speak to the Kannapolis Police Department concerning their interest and their concerns with police in the area? I know this council's not unfamiliar. This used to be a dry county. And the emphasis of making it a non-dry county was so that we could get Olive Garden and some of the restaurants that would incorporate alcohol. They wouldn't come to this area without it. But if you look at the history of Asheboro with the opening of the ABC, we have developed a group of citizens that are cumbersome to Asheboro, and it's taken away from the zoo family corporation. So with something like this, my concern would be, I know that crime increased. We had to increase police officers for domestic and for everything else that came into play when we introduced that here in Asheboro. So, I know financially, this is gonna be great. The people downtown will love it. But prior to this, we just talked about the homeless. It's not going to help. In fact, you may see a greater flux of them downtown, especially if they could set out on the street and not be in an establishment, because people aren't going to want them in the establishment to start with. There's going to be a lot of side effects from this as well. I would just say, let's take cautious steps, and I would be interested in what the police department and how manageable it is for that overspill. Remember, there's schools near this district that we're talking about opening up, walking distance. There's kids that will walk home from school at 3 o'clock and walk through this district to get home. There's gonna be buses traveling through that district to get home. There's gonna be teenagers driving cars, not paying attention to people walking in and off the street in this district. So I would just say,
Yes, sir, and as part, if the council directs the staff to move forward, we can't, the city council has to produce an ordinance and a district and all that, then the staff will have the police involved and get their professional expertise and report back to the council as part of our reporting.
okay, thank you.
But we certainly appreciate your comments.
Thank you all.
I just did want to answer a point to that. I understand the concerns. The sitting on the streets, I do want to point out that these people do have to purchase. It's not freedom of alcohol on the streets of ABC. And to be honest, we have that right now in Bicentennial. I know y'all are all aware of that. This does have to be purchased and in a permitted cup and beverage. So if there's someone sitting out there with that is not, if they're homeless, are they purchasing it from Four Saints? That's the question. However, I just wanted to point out that that does have to be in an acceptable cup.
I'm more inclined to buy a 40 at the convenience store and walk over there.
True.
Hey, you get the
And
universal sign, the short paperback.
yeah. Eddie has graciously come to the city council tonight to support this district. He said he is comfortable speaking about the impact on the police in Kannapolis. If y'all want to hear it now, if you don't, that is completely.
You may tell him what he does for the city of Kannapolis.
Yeah,
Oh.
you wanna address the council?
I know him, but I don't think anybody else does.
This is
Been
Eddie
working
Smith.
with
He is
Eddie
the
before on the
assistant
barbecue.
city manager for the city of Kannapolis, and he does also live here in Asheboro, or very close to Asheboro.
Zip code, yes.
Yeah.
So this is a bit awkward for me, because normally, as deputy city manager in Kannapolis, I'm addressing my city council. So I'll entertain any questions you have.
Well, we can't fire you.
I was gonna say, that's right, I can say whatever I want to. This is what a consultant feels like. Well, Rebecca reached out to me earlier this week and indicated that Ashboro was pursuing a social district. It was well known that Kannapolis was the first to approve the social district. So I was inundated with emails and phone calls about what did you do, how did you do it? So I've shared it with multiple folks from east to west. And when Rebecca called and said, well, Ashboro was considering it, I said, you have our signs, you have everything you need to get started, asking the questions you might have. And then yesterday she indicated she was coming to Kannapolis. I wasn't able to join her downtown and walk her around, but she got to speak to everybody that was down there with the businesses related to that. And I told her, and my apologies, John, I had not planned to come tonight. I didn't know my schedule would allow me to, but I do live 6 miles south in a farmer community. I married a beautiful bride from Randolph County, and so I kind of married into it, and I love it. It is a long drive back to Kannapolis, but that's okay. It's well worth it. But our police department, we have had 0 issues. Rebecca kind of mentioned early on that we're more concerned about skateboarders downtown than we are somebody holding the beer and walking around. The brewery owners, they love it. Well, owner, we have a cidery that just opened up this week. We have a wine bar opening up first of the year, and then another brewery is going to start construction in the spring. All were supportive of the district. In fact, they actually came to us first, and we were working with our legislative team to figure out how to do this before they rolled it out statewide, which made it easy for us. And then we approved it at our first meeting right after the legislative House and Senate approved it, so we're good to go. Our police chief, I talk to him every day. We have had 0 issues. It is definitely responsible to be concerned with some of the things you've heard tonight. We had those same questions. We have the high school within a half a mile of downtown, elementary school within half downtown, and we have 3 churches that anchor 4 of the corners of our district. Kimball Lutheran, First Baptist, then First Presbyterian. And they were all supportive, because they see everything that's happening downtown, so they understand with that comes these activities, but also comes responsible individuals too. And I'll entertain any questions you have tonight. I'm not here officially representing downtown Asheboro, or I'm speaking as a pseudo City of Kannapolis individual. Thought I'd come and help out if need be.
Any questions for Eddie?
How long have you had it in place?
We put it in place in September, I believe. I think you may have said October, but it could be early October. But it's been a couple of months. And one thing that happened immediately was, and I meant to say this, is the brewery started creating, and this is what we wanted to have happen. We didn't want the city to have to plan all these activities downtown. So the businesses and the brewery started having these weekend festivals. And it was really geared around people being able to go into the establishment and walk around in the district. So they've had about 3 or 4, a hoedown one weekend, something for Halloween, and then they're doing a Christmas celebration this Saturday right before our Christmas parade. So we've had zero issues. And it's been great because the weather's been unseasonably warm up until this week.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you, Eddie. I appreciate you taking the time to be here tonight.
You're welcome, Mayor. Thank you.
And all you've done to help us with the events you've helped us with in the past. Thank you.
Well, I won some categories in that barbecue contest.
So, at this point, we'll just, direct staff to study the issue and address some of the concerns they've heard here tonight and come up with a proposal that council can study and tweak and see where we want to go with it. Fair enough? Thanks, sir. All right, Rebecca, thank you.
Thank you, council.
Appreciate the
Have a
work
good
you
evening.
do.
Thank you.
Mr. Nuttall, you have case number RZ 21-14. I will open a legislative hearing on a request to rezone property located at 481 and 539 Veterans Loop Road from R10 to I2 zoning.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening. Before I begin, I do want to just report that pursuant to state law, letters were mailed related to this case, and public notice for this public hearing has been provided. This is a application that's been filed by the McAdams Company for Duke Energy, who is the property owner of this parcel at 481 and 539 Veterans Loop Road. It is an application to place the property into a general I2 zoning district. Currently, it is a medium-density residentially zoned. We're looking at the majority of a single PIN. It's almost the entirety of a PIN, but it is there is a portion of this property that's already zoned I2. So it's about 4.1 acres out of the 5.4 acres of the parcel. There's 2 addresses for this property. Formerly, there were single-family dwellings on the parcel that have been removed. The subject parcel on the screen is bounded in red. It's the yellow in the middle of all that purple up on the screen. Of course, that purple denotes existing I2 industrial district, and this is an area of residential that is in the middle of that. That speckling up on the screen or in your report that you see indicates that this is just beyond the corporate limits. It is within our zoning jurisdiction, but it is just outside of the city's city limits. This is a closer view. A1 and A2 comprise the tax PIN. A1 is the portion that is subject to the hearing this evening. Again, a request to take that yellow area and place that into the I2 district like the surrounding property. Looking at the topographic and utilities map in the area, you can see the location of city utilities. We are able to serve this parcel. I'll note that that service would require annexation by the property owner into the city limits per the city's policy for utility service. There is a drainage feature. You can see the stream on the property, and because of that, there are some slopes that would need to be dealt with should development occur, but there is no regulated floodplain on the property. It's not within a water supply reservoir for the city. From an environmental standpoint and local regulations, there is not much that would limit potential industrial development on this property. This is an aerial from a few years ago. I'm happy to report we should be getting new aerial photos in 2022, so I can stop saying this is an aerial photo from a few years ago, hopefully next year. But you can see the location of this property, which is essentially at the intersection of New Century Drive and Veterans Loop. This is a photo of looking at the subject property across, we're standing on New Century, looking across Veterans Loop towards the property. This is a view, again, roughly in that same area, looking east along Veterans Loop. This is at the eastern edge of the property, looking back west along Veterans Loop. That driveway you can see in the middle of the picture is an existing driveway onto the property. And then this is further east, looking east on Veterans Loop. Real quickly, looking at the staff's analysis of this, I noted the properties outside the city limits, utilities would require annexation. Veterans Loop is maintained by NCDOT. As you know, in 2017, New Century Drive was extended to connect with Veterans Loop and improve access for this general area to the interstate. Looking at the zoning classification that's being requested, it is intended to produce areas for intensive manufacturing, warehousing, processing, and assembly uses that are controlled by performance standards to limit the effect of such uses on adjacent district. Keep in mind, if the district is approved, any use permitted in the I-2 general district would be authorized, assuming it complies with the city's predetermined development requirements. But this would allow something, for example, on the order of PEMCO manufacturing, that is an existing I-2 property in this area. That is an example of a use that could occur there. Since 2010, we've seen 6 parcels along Veterans Loop Road that have been either rezoned either from residential or commercial classifications to the requested I-2 district. As I said, we're not looking at the entirety of this parcel because previously a portion of this property, which had been part of 2 adjoining parcels, was previously rezoned. It's important to note when we look at our land development plan for guidance on this application, the city has already determined that this should develop as an employment center. And the intent of that employment center is to integrate a mixture of commercial, office, institutional, industrial, and open space uses that provide a benefit to the community. So this is an employment center use on the proposed land use map. It's part of the southeast area, small area plan, identified for economic development. And when we look at the text of the land development plan for further guidance on this request, we find that there are several, not surprising, that are supportive of this request. The only negative per the plan is that we do have some limited environmental conditions on the property, some steep slopes as a result of that drainage feature that will have to be addressed should the property develop. But overall, staff believes that this application does further the vision of the LDP by expanding economic opportunities for the site. We've worked to help New Century Drive get to Veterans Loop Road to improve access for this area for industrial type development. This application supports that. And importantly, it removes what could be a point of conflict of residential property in the middle of an industrially zoned area. So that helps to mitigate future conflict. For those reasons, both the planning board and the staff do recommend approval of this request. As a reminder, there are two actions before council this evening. That's consideration of a consistency statement, and that's consistency with the city's adopted land development plan. And then secondly, consideration of the rezoning itself. I will note that David Bergmark is present here this evening as a representative of the property owner. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. This is a legislative hearing. Sir, would you like to speak? Anybody?
Good evening. My name is David Bergmark. I'm a senior planner with McAdams, here as the applicant representing Duke Energy. I want to thank you for the opportunity to come forward and bring this application to you. I think your staff gave an excellent kind of summary of the merits in terms of consistency with your surrounding zoning, consistency with your future land use plan. So I really just wanted to make myself available if you had any questions, and say that I would be honored for this to be the first approval of your newly sworn board or council.
Any questions? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the room that'd like to address council on this request? Okay. We need two actions. Anybody prepared to make a motion?
Can we combine?
Yes, sir, you may.
Mayor, based on the consistency statement of staff as it being consistent with the land development plan, I move that we adopt the rezoning and the consistency statement.
I have a motion to approve the consistency statement and the rezoning request. Do I have a second?
Second.
Well, a new voice.
Jump in there early.
Why not?
She's been,
She was sitting on a thumbtack.
Second by Ms. Heath. Congratulations. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Nunnall, case SUB 19-02, final plat certification for Hillcrest Phase 2.
Thank you, Mayor. As those, the final plats are being distributed, I'll begin the report. This is a request by the property owner and developer Royal Crest Builders. This is the final phase in the city subdivision review process, and it is a request for certification of the final plat. We're looking at 6.2 acres of property. This is actually a second phase of the developer's application for this property to put on record 26 lots that are just over 10,000 square feet in lot size. We're looking at a single Randolph County PIN with this application. On the screen, outlined as blue is a illustration of the location of the lots that are being proposed to be recorded on that survey. You'll note this is entirely within the city limits. It's currently R7.5 zoned, and you can see the location of utilities prior to the developer's extension of utilities to serve the lots that are identified up on the screen. So this map will be updated after final plat certification to reflect the utility extensions that occurred to serve these lots. Again, this is, gives you an idea of the layout of the property. It does receive access both from Firmer Road and Breeze Hill. And you can see the street network that's proposed. I'll point out there is, due to the subdivision ordinance's requirement that looks for the potential for future street connectivity, there is access that is provided that could provide a continuation of Berg Street North should that property develop. Up on the screen for the audience is what the plat that council is looking at. I'll report that this plat has been reviewed by city staff. The improvements to the property have been reviewed also by city staff. At this point, there are no issues of concern either with the plat or the property. Again, we're looking at 26 lots. It's important to note that this development does provide 2 entrances, which emergency services always likes to see. No outstanding issues, which I don't always get to say with this plat, so we do appreciate the property owner and developers' work to get everything wrapped up on this project. This does come to you with a favorable recommendation for final certification by the planning board and staff. The builders are present as well this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Questions of Mr. Noel? What are your wishes?
Mayor, I move we approve the final plat for Hillcrest subdivision phase 2.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Swears. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And your last item is application submitted for vacancies on the Asheboro Redevelopment Commission.
Yes, sir. We have had 2 vacancies on the Redevelopment Commission for some time now. We have received 2 applications from qualified residents to serve on that commission. They are from Mr. Owen George and Mr. Ryan Terry. Their applications are in your packets. As I indicated, they are eligible and interested in serving, which is important for this board. We'd love to see this commission fully appointed. I would make a recommendation before Mr. Terry is present. I didn't see Owen earlier, but I will make a suggestion since we do have 2 vacancies. The first was presented by Ms. Volrath, who was appointed and then stepped down soon thereafter. And the second is from Ms. Jonna Libbert, who passed away unfortunately earlier this year. I would suggest that the council, these are filling unexpired terms of those 2 individuals, and council, should you make that appointment, it would be sensible to indicate which vacancy they are filling. But again, the first vacancy was Jean Volrath. Owen George filed the first application. The second is from Jonna Libbert, and Mr. Terry filed the second application.
This simplifies it pretty well. Everybody understand are the questions? Any questions? All right, I will entertain a motion to appoint Mr. George to Ms. Volrath term, unexpired term, and Mr. Terry to John Libert's term. Was that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Birch. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bell. Discussion? Everybody agree that's a fair way to do it? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Terry. I appreciate your interest. I know you do a good job. Your wife does a great job for the city.
Thank you.
Good to have y'all here tonight. Okay, Mr. Roney.
Yes.
You've got a engineering services agreement to approve.
That's a good time.
Good evening. So just a little history of the wastewater treatment plant real quick. Commissioned in 1960, so it's 51 years old. The last upgrade was 1996, so we haven't done any major upgrades to the plant since in 25 years. The wastewater plant has been operating on a grandfather permit since 2016. Just out in context, we would have already gone through a second permitting process and have entered a second permit in October of 2021. So that's how far behind the state is in issuing this permit. There are several reasons for that. But we did see a draft. We did see a draft permit back in the original 2016 timeframe. And with that, we understand that the technology of our plant is getting to the point where it is going to be challenging to meet new parameters, the limits of the parameters we have. And it's a good idea to have a plan in place to be able to meet those parameters and those limits as they come. And actually, a permit would, if the state didn't think we could meet the limits, they would give us a compliance schedule to meet those limits. With that, we went through the RFQ process, and we had some interest from firms, and several came to visit. We only received one statement of qualifications. It just happens it was the Wooten Company. They've done work for us before. They've done a study of the plant before, so they're familiar with our plant. We have talked with them and negotiated this contract. And if you look at page 2 of this agreement, there's a list of services they're going to do. And we weren't sure we were going to have money available to do the model, but they came in well under our budget. And the model is critical for being able to model and determine that we can, what we can do with the plant. So this master plan will give us a good tool to build for the future. We're looking out at least 25 years plus. And the final agreement is for $85,000. We had $100,000 budgeted. So this is really a good idea. And most of all, we'll get a good capital improvement plan. So, you know, I've come to you many times requesting some pretty large capital expenditures. And those are a plant 51 years old that hasn't been upgraded in 25 years. A lot of our equipment's reached its useful life. And this will help us plan how to spend that capital in the future for our best benefit. So I'll be glad to answer any questions pertaining to this agreement.
Is this master plan similar like the capacity development plan?
Or 201.
And it's really a requirement of your permit.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't have this,
Yes.
you're not, not in the manual, you don't have your.
True.
So.
We should have a plan.
So it ain't a should, it's a shall. As I understand your permit requirements for water and wastewater. So, moving right along with the mandatory, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Are they gonna go in and look at the equipment?
Oh, yes.
Michael, and
They
say,
will.
Okay, we got, this is just way obsolete, you gotta upgrade this.
There will be boots on ground, lots of engineers involved, planner involved.
Assessment of our.
A full assessment, and with the model. That's the key, is the model really tells us.
Standards and you will
it's-
get there how.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is the
Okay.
requirement.
But you're modeling the flow and the BOD, COD.
Yes, exactly.
TSS, all this stuff.
What volumes we can handle
Right.
with the equipment we have in place.
You know, give us any credit for that $1 million digester cover we
2.
What we do with these heavy metals, and I don't mean banging.
Heavy metals and ammonia's gonna push us, so.
I noticed in the news this week, there was $1 billion or more for PFAS
Mhm.
remediation. We need to get our.
We did our
hands on
samples
some of
there
those.
already.
Pardon?
We've already done our sampling there, so.
Good for you. Did you know the mayor of Pittsburgh called me one time?
I heard this
She
story,
didn't
yes.
know where work came from. Okay.
Probably needs to call him.
I said, I don't believe you get your water out of the deep river.
One more over, it's the hall.
Yeah. All right.
We just need approval of the agreement.
And,
Staff recommends it.
I'll entertain a motion to allow the city to, enter this agreement with Wooten Company.
Mayor, I move we approve the engineering services agreement with the Wooten Company.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Kelly. Good for you. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Kelly, you notice a pattern here?
Yes.
Well, the pattern is that if they hesitate, Clark's gonna beat them to it. So, we need somebody else to make some motion.
I don't wanna feel.
All right,
slighted.
you have in front of you a schedule outlining next year's meetings. And the only one that's not a regular meeting, normal meeting date would be July, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because the normal meeting that week would be July 4th week. So all the others we left in place, for the regular. We used to kind of move the September meeting, but that puts it so far out that we decided just, Labor Day week's not a big holiday week, so except for Mr. Moffett. So if you can't make it, we understand.
The youngest Moffett, who is not here tonight, changed all that. We decided to arrive on September 5th. So your statement is correct for everyone.
All right, so, I'll entertain a motion that we enter this into the record as our, the dates for our regular meetings for the 2022 calendar year.
Mayor, I move we approve the ordinance setting the dates for the regular council meetings for the 2022 calendar year.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. Do I have a second, Kelly?
Second.
Our way. All right, thank you.
Right, exactly.
Discussion? These dates suit everybody? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. You have upcoming events on the screen.
Yes, sir.
4 to 5, what day is that?
I'm sorry, that is next Tuesday, the 14th.
Joel Leonard is gonna take his mobile maker space down to, Uwharrie Middle, from 4 to 5 to do a STEM class project.
Finish up their, we'll open their little course they do down there.
All right. Thursday the 16th is Chamber of Commerce Christmas Party, 5:30 at the Exchange. Friday the 17th, Bluegrass Christmas at Sunset Theater, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is part 2 of Tim Moon's student recital. Is that, I believe that's right. And those Friday night Bluegrass are always full. City offices closed 23rd, 24th, and 27th for Christmas, and December 31st for New Year's holiday. Thursday, January 6th is next council meeting. Make note, and it will be posted on our website and our Facebook page, no curbside recycling pickups for the 23rd, Thursday the 23rd, and Friday the 24th. The transfer station will be, recycling center will be closed on the 24th and 25th and 1st of January, and no curbside on Monday, January 17th for Martin Luther King Day. I'm assuming there will be a Martin Luther King Day breakfast on the east side. It'd be nice if y'all could be there. Monday collections will be on the 18th, and Tuesday collections will be on Wednesday the 19th. Pushed back a day because of the Martin Luther King holiday. Anything else? Anybody got anything else?
Mayor, just for the council's benefit, we did have you and I hosted, along with the department heads, Mr. McCaskill and Mrs. Heath, for the new council orientation last Friday, and I think they enjoyed it. Got them up to speed as much as they can, and I know you and I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Lunch was good.
a good refresher for me. I will say that it was sad tonight to lose Miss Carter after all these years, and that was my choice. I'm sorry the Snugs couldn't be here tonight. Her sister is deathly ill and may not make the night, according to what Katie told me about 5:30. And we all need to pray for her if we can, and we will try to get her in here in January. And
It's been a very hard year for Katie because her son passed away too.
And she made the comment to Joanne earlier, what more can I take? You know, it's just really piled up on her, losing her son and her sister possible, and all the difficulties. And, you know, when Representative Hurley was reading her resolution honoring Katie, you know, what wasn't said in there but was said all around it was, Katie is mother and grandmother to half the east side. She cooks more than anybody over there, I think. And, you know, her mission in life is to look after everybody but herself.
That's true.
And, you know, we've been fortunate to have her on council. And I think we're fortunate to have the two new members, Bill and Kelly, I look forward to working with you. It's gonna be, we've got a good council here, we've got the best city staff around, and I think you will enjoy being council members, both of you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everybody. And we have a tradition which you guys have seen because you've been here, but we start and just let everybody make whatever comment they're in the mood to make. So we'll start down here with Kelly. Good.
Change it up, man.
Yeah.
I'll speak, Chair.
Well, I just want to say it's a true honor and privilege to be sitting in the seat and to be able to serve with all of you and just to serve this community. So it's an honor and a privilege. I also want to thank the city, having been involved with the chamber for many years and doing the Christmas events. Just want to thank the city staff for all of their support and work for the Christmas events. This year's Christmas event was a little bit different, but we were blessed with good weather, and I just once again got to see the city staff in action, and they did a fantastic job as always. So I just want to publicly thank them for that.
Mr. Swears.
All right, welcome Kelly, welcome Bill. Look forward to serving with them in the future, and Asheboro is fortunate to have y'all. Thank you.
I concur with that assessment, but I understand in your tour that y'all both missed the wastewater treatment tour.
We did.
We have not finished our tour.
You have that to look forward to.
That's right.
Just give us a call.
To make sure we're spending this modeling money correctly.
We got sidetracked and spent a little more time in certain places, and we missed the water Did you get the water?
We got the water.
Yeah, we did get the water.
Okay, you didn't get,
Didn't get up to wastewater.
All right, was that the only thing you missed? Cause I bailed right after they fed me, I bailed.
Yeah, we did. Public Works, they've both been to, so.
Okay.
Well, Mayor, I'd also like to say that, right after my surgery, I tested the response time of the Ashboro Fire Department.
Don't I know it?
And they got there in a hurry and got me right back up on my feet, and then I was good to go.
I was standing over there beside the rec center, and I saw the fire trucks come by and turn on Worth Street, and I said, damn, that's Clark. Sure enough, it was Clark.
Yeah.
About 5 minutes later, John called me and said, he's okay.
Well, that was at the behest of my daughter, so.
Good to know that they got there on time, quickly.
Yes.
Rapid response.
Deputy Chief Cockman and the city manager. even.
Yeah.
Anything else, Clark?
No, that's it. Merry Christmas.
John, you have anything?
Merry Christmas, sir, on behalf of all the staff. And thank you for all the council does for us.
We all know people that have COVID currently, and people that have survived COVID and others that have not, but we know some people right now that are battling COVID, so we need to be diligent, continue to be diligent, and keep these people, and I will not identify them, but keep the people in your prayers, thoughts. It's still a very real difficulty that we struggle with every day. So,
You may want to mention, Mayor, before you leave, the success of the high school games at the.
Oh, yeah. And staff knows this, and for the couple of people in the room that may not know this, Ashboro High School Gymnasium is out of commission for a year or so because of the renovation out there, and the high school basketball program and the high school wrestling program is calling our rec center over on North Street home court advantage, the home court. And they had a wrestling tournament 2 weeks ago, a multi-team tournament, maybe 8 teams.
Yes, sir.
I think it was 8, and they loved it. They had 2 mats out there on the floor, and the wrestlers are practicing at Teachy School, but they are having their matches at the rec center. Most of the varsity girls and boys are playing over there. Some of the JVs or games are over there. Most of the JV games are over there, and basketball. And so far, so good. They love it. It's a beautiful facility, and it just allows us to show it off to people that wouldn't normally see it. And lots and lots of positive comments. And the school elected to not do concessions, their own concessions. So our guys are doing concessions, and they've started selling Chick-fil-A and hot dogs and everything else that you can't generally buy at the high school basketball game. So we might actually make a little bit to cover the cost of the lights and the staff.
Yeah.
But the
First time Debbie smiled on me.
the bottom line is it is a beautiful and wonderful partnership with the city schools. They are tickled to death to be over there. So, Mr. Moffitt.
Well, I'm honored and humbled to serve another term. Look forward to joining Clark on another term, and our newcomers, Kelly and Bill. I'm sure this will be an adventure for all. Wish Linda the very best in retirement. Wish Katie the very best of blessings for her situation, and we'll definitely miss her on this council. Other than that, Merry Christmas to all, and we've had great blessings of economic development, and this, look forward to next year being a banner year.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Burks.
I got all emotional when I was listening to Representative Hurley read her things, and but I do that. Not cry. My wife gives me a hard time about getting teared up about things, so, but they will, both Katie and Linda will be truly missed, but we equally look forward to working with Kelly and with Bill. And you too will find that Mr. Ogburn and the professional staff that we have here will make your time serving on this council a real pleasure. And you people will ask you questions, and these people will have the answers to your questions. So don't feel like as you're maturing in your seat there, don't feel like you don't know anything, because there are people here who can provide the answers for you. And you will find that you'll be able to help people, and that's a true blessing when you're able to help people in our community. And congratulations to you on another term as Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you very much.
And I got my booster shot for COVID today, and I don't feel as bad as I did on the first 2 shots, but I'm ready to go home and go to bed. But I think I'm okay. Anyway, Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Jane?
Yes, I will say welcome to Kelly and Bill.
Thank you.
I may not speak that often, but I'm an excellent listener, and I'm here for y'all if you have any questions or anything along those lines. I would also like to congratulate Debbie on much of what she does for the city. She also does for Central United Methodist Church, and they awarded her an honor of Laity of the Year because she keeps the church running just as well as she keeps the city. And Merry Christmas to all of y'all.
I would just like to say that it's an honor to be on the council. It's kind of like an adult long dream that I've had of being on city council. And I look forward to working on my fellow council members and city staff. And so far, it's been smooth. This wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I even could keep up with what was going on for the most part, except the sewer thing. I was a little behind on
For 85,000, we'll get you a little paper going.
And I'm convinced that all of us are working to help all the citizens of Asheboro, and that's what I want to do. Thank you.
Mayor, before we adjourn, I'd like to announce tonight that our Deputy City Clerk, Ms. Tammy Williams, today or yesterday, just in the last 24, 48 hours, received her professional certification.
All right.
So I just want that in the record too. So that's a good team on both sides of, both wings of the room.
I'd like to wish everybody Merry Christmas and tell you how much I appreciate the city staff and everything you do to make our job easier. So, hope everybody has a good holiday, and if there's nothing else, I will call the meeting adjourned.
All right.